Paul Stanley, welcome.
Oh, it's terrific.
Can I get the whole fan thing out of the way first before we get to the serious interview? You're Paul Stanley.
I am. I woke up this morning and I was still Paul Stanley.
Here's my bedroom
Oh my
when I
God.
was 13.
So you got Unmasked there. You
Yeah,
got
totally.
the post from Unmasked and super stuff.
And your picture's all over my wall.
Well, you chose well.
Yeah, that's the second one. There, that's me.
Ah.
So that's quite impressive, that tongue. It's not quite as long as Mr. Simmons, but...
But interestingly, that's not dissimilar from the guitar that I learned to play on.
True.
A nylon or gut string guitar.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what I love about your band.
Terrific.
Real musicians, that's what you guys are. I'd like to start by reading a review from May 27th, 1974, printed in the Seattle Daily Times. Tell me how you feel when you hear this, okay? Music review. I hope the four guys who make up the group whose names don't matter are putting money away for the near future, because Kiss won't be around for long. He said in 1974.
Sweet vindications. I think he has not stood up as well as we have. I have no idea where he is at this point, but some people just don't get it, and they don't get it right, and that really has more to do with them than us. When somebody is so vehement about a point of view, it really reflects on their own issues rather than ours. I mean, whenever I see something that's really scathing to this day, I go, "What's your problem?" Is it really that important that it riles you up like that? So, in this case, this guy, I had a chuckle even back then because I knew he was wrong. You don't want to have a blind belief in yourself, but at the same time, you also, you have to champion your own cause, believe in it, and move forward. So, naysayers, there are obstacles that you look past.
What has kept you going? Over 40 years, there's been some challenging times for you, some dodgy haircuts for the band here and there, people passing away, there's been illness, what's kept you going? Because it's just quite incredible to see the journey this band's been on.
Passion. If you find your passion in life, you're very, very lucky. And I urge everybody to find what they love, because Mark Twain said, to paraphrase, if you find something you love doing, you'll never work a day in your life. Doesn't mean that my days aren't strenuous, that they're not taxing, but I love what I do and I'm passionate about it. And I never did this to be a pop star. I never did this to be the flavor of the week. I love music, and I love everything that goes with it, from Kiss, to Soul Station. To have a 13-piece band that plays Motown and Philly soul. Just music in general is so life fulfilling and life affirming. I'm just passionate about what I do.
But on Soul Station, you've done that. This is a recent venture.
Yeah.
Then there was Phantom of the Opera,
Yes.
15 years ago. What is left for you to do?
There's always something new.
What's in your mind? What do you want to do?
Other than taking Soul Station out and doing a bunch of shows, there's always something new. I can't really tell you. To have a successful side career painting, and to do theater, and all the other things I've done, it's fabulous. And I don't have any plans. I just wake up every day and am open to whatever is around me.
Let's talk about your brother from another mother, Gene Simmons. Double barrel question here. What's the best thing about working with him for so long, and what's been the most challenging thing about working with Gene Simmons?
Interesting question. The best thing, I have to pause. I think the security and the familiarity. There's no substitute or anything that comes close to being with somebody for 40 some odd years, 46 years I think at this point. So that is a blessing. It really is a blessing to have that kind of relationship. Um, and also within that, you define the terms of it and the boundaries. And I think what works so well for us is giving each other space and
Yep.
respecting our individuality, because we're very, very different. As different as we once were, we've certainly become more that, or stronger in our differences. So I think the best part is everything that's grown out of 46 years together.
You're both in good shape. You're in good shape.
I can't speak for him.
In your 60s, you're in good shape. Has there always been this, I guess, unwritten rule of no drugs between both of you? Because that impresses me and amazes me.
Speaking for myself, when I was much younger, certainly there was, there was some pot smoking and stuff like that. But and one or two pills of different sorts. But you have to remember that there was a time where I don't want to say drugs were more pure, but there was less chemistry and less bootleg and counterfeit stuff floating around, and we didn't have the kind of data we know exists now that tells us that certain things will just lead down a terrible
things.
path.
Yeah.
But I found that very quickly and very early, not because of personal experience, but by looking around me,
Yeah.
and seeing people die. People I knew dying at young ages from drugs and excesses, and then I saw people's careers derailed by drugs and excesses. So I think you have to be an idiot or have a predisposed illness of sorts, which is not a derogatory thing to say, but some people just are have a kind of like a bent chemically or psychologically towards addictions. I'm not one of those people, and to jeopardize my life or my future, my health, it just never made sense. I mean, to me it's so illogical, and yet I'm not necessarily saying that holds true for other people, but for me it made no sense to see what was killing other people and saying, sign me up.
I want to talk about rumours. The band, especially during the early days, always rumours floating around, obviously in the gossip magazines, etc. There was no internet back in those days. One I heard, which was fantastic, which I believed for a while, that you were actually Van Halen with makeup. What was the craziest rumour that you heard about yourselves?
Well, the oddest to me was always, and it's always persisted over time, is that I'm gay. And it's an interesting thing, because if I were, I'd be proud to be whatever I am, as long as you're a good person. Sexual orientation and stuff like that is totally irrelevant. But that being said, besides having 4 children, honestly, I never saw a guy where I said, gee, that's a close second to a woman. I honestly, I never looked and said, if I can't have that girl over there, I'm taking the bloke. I mean, it's so that's always been really interesting, that some people can't find a way to take my comfort with sexuality to misreading it as something it's not.
Yeah.
But that being said, I more scratch my head at that. But so that's always been something that was and is persistent, and I just kind of go, well,
whatever.
The boys may not understand, but the women always they got it in more ways than one.
You're a legend, Paul Stanley. Touching on your kids,
Yes.
they're beautiful. We see
They're
pictures
wonderful
from time to time.
Yes.
Do they travel with you when you?
As much as possible, but it would be unfair to impose my life on them.
Yeah.
In other words, I'm home, the lion's share of time. I make sure our tours are never more than 3 weeks maximum. because I want to be home with my kids. As much as I adore performing and being with fans, I have an obligation and a passion for being with my family. So when possible, they come with us, come with me, and if not, then we just arrange the tour so it's doable.
Speaking of the tour, I've seen the band I think 5 or 6 times with makeup, without makeup, 3D glasses at Wembley, the whole thing. This looks different. This really does look different. For the uninitiated, for those who haven't seen a Kiss show, what are they going to see?
I think, honestly, as a totality, the band's never been better. You know, you can always dissect and say, well, this is better, this isn't as good. But as a total package, the show just has never been better. The band's never been better. The band's just firing on all cylinders. And, you know, we were joking before, the reviews look like I wrote them. You know, they couldn't be much better. And it's amazing to ask the audience, which I do, how many of you have never seen us before? And it's a good, I don't want to say smattering, it can be 30%, 40%, and that's terrific because you have a legend, a myth, whatever you want to call it, that has permeated, you know, time, and you have to live up to it. And it's amazing to go out there and have people at the end of it just go, wow, they are who I heard they are.
I have one more question. There is once again a story doing the rounds that if you and Gene decide to retire, that you will be replaced.
Yes.
True?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you know,
I can't imagine that.
well, there was a time nobody could imagine replacing Peter. Then nobody could imagine replacing Ace. So those people, you included probably, are 50% wrong already.
But you're the singer, you're the sound.
But I'm not the only person capable of doing what I do and also moving the band forward. You know, as much as I respect and actually admire what I've done within the band, I didn't invent this. I am a mixture. I am, you know, a composite of all the people who inspired me. And there are other people out there who probably take in those same inspirations and add me to the mix. So, you know, why not? Why not? It's more about believing in this concept of being passionate about what you do, giving 100%, respecting your audience, and always trying to be better than you are. So I don't have a, you know, I don't have the monopoly on that, and so it may be inconceivable to someone else, but from where I sit, I'm sure there's more than one person out there capable of doing what I do. Not a carbon copy of me.
But not just yet.
Not yet.
No.
You know, I have a show tomorrow.
Absolutely. Like to end on a bit of a gift. A good friend of mine owns a wine label called Haha, and we're going to the show tomorrow night, and we both discovered Kiss at the same time. We were 12, and it's his way of giving back.
It's terrific, you know.
Saw on Twitter you like your red wine.
Yeah, you know, but you know, I have to say, nobody makes a Sauvignon Blanc like, you know, all the Marlboro Sauvignon Blancs are just off the hook. So, you know, they're quite something too. You know, your Kim Crawfords and your Cloudy Bays and, you know, what have you. So,
Well, you'll like that drop as well, I'm sure you will.
I'm sure I will. Good Pinot.
Great. Good to meet you.
Pleasure.